Hey everyone, it's Evangeline here at etrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Hollywood Rack's Destination 2-bike platform rack and how it fits our 2022 Jeep Wagoneer. So the Destination 2 is a really compact, lightweight, and portable bike rack. For an entry-level rack, it's actually one of my favorites because it just gets the job done, plus it can fit a variety of bikes, whether you're really small kids bikes or your larger step-through bikes even. Now it does have its downsides too, like it can't tilt away, plus it has a maximum weight capacity of 35 pounds per bike. But for the Wagoneer, not being able to tilt away is actually not a bad thing, because most bikes that do tilt away don't tilt away enough for the Wagoneer's large hatch. So in this case, most of your bike racks will require you to take off the bike anyways in order to access the hatch, and any alternative would be the Hollywood Rack's Destination E or a swing away bike rack. So with all that in mind, let's talk about what types of bikes this can carry. So I mentioned a 35-pound weight capacity, which is pretty normal for a platform rack that's entry level. It has 3 touch points. 1 and 2 are going to be your wheel straps. The third is going to be your frame mount. And that frame mount is unique because it has a short mast, doesn't have a hook, but it has a strap, and you can adjust the strap up, down, left, right, and even around. So if you find yourself with a step-through bike with a really low frame, that's okay. No need for a frame adapter bar. You just use that 360-degree clamp. But when you want to take the bike off, you start at the wheel straps. You just press this lever. That disengages the strap so that you can lift it out. And I like to put it over to the side so it's not in the way of the spokes. So that's one clamp or one strap. And then here's the second strap. Go over to the frame mount. Now for different bikes, this process will be different because you're gonna have to figure out how you're gonna hold your bike while operating this strap. So once that strap is released, we're then going to just feed this through. Notice here you actually have a decent amount of clearance between your bike and your vehicle. So all you need to do is pivot it back so it clears that middle mast, and then it's a slight lift up and then down. Now for the Wagoneer, that hitch sits kind of high up, so most of your bikes will be a little bit of lift to get them off. Another thing about this bike rack is those wings. So notice how they're shaped to carry your different wheels, and for different widths, this can carry up to a maximum of 3 inches for your tire width. Now this strap secures those tires, and this pivots back and forth for different wheelbases. Maximum wheelbase is going to be up to 48 inches. Now let's talk about this mast up here. We're going to take this down. So it has a knob which will loosen, lift this anchor out, pivot the mast down, and then you can use either your wheel strap or your frame mount, whichever is easier, more accessible for you. So a lot of this bike rack is really just figuring out what's the best way for me personally to use this rack, what works best for my bikes as well as my vehicle. And now that's secure. Let's talk about how compact it is. This doesn't take up that much space, so I'll just measure from our bumper to the end of the rack by the reflectors. That sits at 27 inches. So definitely shorter than most of your bike racks. And next is going to be ground clearance. That's how high are you lifting your bikes up. Ground to bottom tray, 26. The center of those wings, about 32. So most racks will require you to lift your bike about 32 inches up to get onto the rack. So most of your heavy electric bikes are going to be tricky for that. This has a maximum weight capacity of 35 pounds. So hopefully you won't be lifting anything heavier than that onto this rack anyways. And that should just help out with making it easier for you. Well, we talked about how much space this takes up. This can also go into a compact position. So there's a clip on the end which you need to remove, and then you loosen this bolt in the middle. Once that's loose, you just let that hang, and then you can lift up and secure again with that bolt. That bolt's really important because if you notice that there's any movement, you first check that bolt, And you also check your anti-rattle bolts, securing this into your hitch receiver to reduce that movement. But this is going to be your compact position. Measuring from your bumper to the end of the rack again, it now sits at 14.5 inches away from your bumper. So a good amount of difference compared to when it was folded down. It doesn't really take up that much space in general, but it folded up like this, everything's visible. Your window, your taillights, your license plate, and your backup camera, those are all visible. The only thing you can't do is open up your hatch. So with that in mind, the Destination 2 is definitely a compact, lightweight bike rack. If you want something that can store easily inside of your garage or even inside of your vehicle, this is going to be a good option for an entry-level platform rack. Its downsides are that it doesn't have that much of a weight capacity. If you need to carry extra heavy electric bikes, you are going to have to get a larger and heavier rack. So an alternative for that would be something like, honestly, the Hollywood Rack's Destination E looks like this, has a 70-pound weight capacity and can tilt the weight to open up the hatch, but it's definitely heavier and bulkier. So that's honestly one of my only alternatives if you want a similar process, still slightly affordable, but can carry heavy electric bikes. But for those not as heavy bikes, this is still going to be a very versatile rack for you. This was a look at the Hollywood Rack's Destination 2 bike platform rack on the 2022 Jeep Wagoneer.
Here we are on our test course. As we hit the alternating bumps, you can see what it would be like to hit a pothole on the road. Our solid speed bumps simulate pulling in and out of a driveway or hitting a speed bump in a parking lot. We use the slalom portion of our course to simulate the side-to-side movement, such as turning corners or evasive maneuvers.